The most frustrating UFC fighters to watch. I made this video about 8 months ago, I believe, and it's time for an update because I got some new guys in this video that are frustrating me anytime I watch their fights because I kind of know how some of their fights are going to go because they fight the same every single time, or for one reason or another, they just piss me off. So with that out of the way, let's get to 10 fighters in the UFC that are the most frustrating to watch, starting off with none other than Sean Strickland. This freaking guy. We're going to go to war for you freaking guys. First of all, Sean Strickland does not adjust or change his game plan no matter how the fight's going. It doesn't matter if his opponent's giving him sand, doing Imanari rolls, throwing spinning wheel kicks, throwing body kicks, throwing punches. It does not matter what Sean Strickland's opponent's doing. He is going to do the same thing from round 1 to round 5, which is why this guy has like 6 or 7 split decision fights in the UFC, because he fights the same every single time, leading to similar outcomes depending on his opponent. And it's just frustrating, man. As a person who watches, you want to see fighters to Sean Strickland's caliber that we know this guy can be better. You want to see him be able to make adjustments. This guy makes no adjustments. He goes in with his little iCarly stance, sparring style, Eric Nixick, if you will, and just does the same thing from round 1 to round 5. And if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. He doesn't try to adjust. He could be like against Dricus Duplessis. He was getting his ass beat the entire fight. And in round 1, round 2, round 3, did you see Sean Strickland make an adjustment? No, he did the same thing until the end of the fight. Also, extremely defensive minding, leading to boring fights. Yes, that's right. I'm criticizing Sean being overly defensive. There is a such thing. This guy fights so defensive that he almost forgets that he has offense, right? And he's even admitted on the Joe Rogan podcast that the reason he fights so defensive is because he doesn't get paid enough to stand and bang and give a war to the fans as he says he's going to do. Because, yes, that's right. Sean Strickland lies to his fans at every press conference, promising, we're going to go to war for you freaking guys, every single fight, only to hide behind his iCarly stance, and as I said, do the same thing, jab and teep for 5 straight rounds, hoping his opponent can't figure him out, and then ultimately leading to him winning a decision or losing a decision. And yeah, that's kind of been Sean Strickland's entire career, and I'm tired of watching it. I want to see something different. I'm hoping anytime I watch a Sean Strickland fight, maybe he'll shoot a takedown. Maybe he'll try to initiate the grappling. But no, he gets right back into his iCarly stance. So yes, that is why I find Sean Strickland extremely frustrating to watch. And Marlon Vera, another guy who's been in the UFC forever that has low output every single fight. This guy has even acknowledged firsthand that he has low output earlier in the fight. He's a slow starter and he needs to start faster. And even then, man, in his fight against Davison Figueiredo, he did the same thing. He was a little bit faster of a starter, but this guy literally throws away every fight. He doesn't try to do anything in the first and second round, which ultimately leads him to lose the first and second round. And his only way to win is a late finish, which is why another reason why we don't like Marlon Vera, because he knocks out our favorite legends. This guy KO'd Frankie Edgar in the 3rd round after getting his ass beat the whole fight. He KO'd Dominic Cruz in the 4th round after getting his ass beat the whole fight. He was getting pieced up by Rob Font, but due to the power difference, that's why he beat Rob Font, right? And this guy fights like he's scared to be KO'd despite having one of the best chins in the UFC. Marlon Vera, if I didn't know any better before going out to fight, you would think this guy got KO'd like 4 times in training camp, because he fights like he's terrified to get hit, like slow starter, high guard, so defensive, don't get hit. And it's like, dude, you're 11, 12 years into your UFC career. It's time to change something or pack it up, Unc. You're about to be 33 years old, and that chin's eventually going to crack. And yeah, man, I can't help but be frustrated watching this guy fight, just like Sean Strickland, a lack of adjustments, just an extremely slow starter, and doesn't really do anything until the later rounds. And by the time he does something, if he doesn't land his fluke 3rd round KO, he ultimately loses the fight 29-28 nearly every damn time. So yes, overall, it pisses me off watching Marlon Vera. Let's get on to Kevin Holland. We already know Kevin Holland, and he brings his 45-70 to the cage every single fight, but it's never enough. Let's be real. This guy killed everyone's parlay against D-Rod, and that's really why he frustrates us all. Kevin Holland is one of the most inconsistent fighters to ever fight in the UFC, ever. This guy, Kevin Holland's the kind of guy to destroy Jack Della Maddalena and then go on to freaking lose to like Gilbert Burns, who's on a 4-fight losing streak. That's the kind of fighter Kevin Holland is. He's just so inconsistent, man. Sometimes he's beats a top-level guy, and then he loses to a freaking guy like D-Rod. Kevin Holland got outstruck by old man D-Rod, who's one of the weakest ranked fighters in the entire UFC, and the only reason he got ranked is because Kevin Holland lost to him. Embarrassing. And this guy's whole like don't care about the belt and I'm too cool for the belt attitude is really plagued this guy's career. Like, it's just cope, man. You know you're not going to be a champion, Kevin Holland, so you cope with that by saying, yeah, man, I don't really care about the belt, just brings a bunch of noise that I don't really need. No, you do care about the belt, you just know you're not capable of winning it. But either way, this guy's frustrating to watch because I think all of his fans and all the people that watch Kevin Holland see this guy has an 80-inch reach, 81-inch reach in the welterweight division, and we want to see him succeed. We know how good he can be. He has good grappling, defensively and offensively. He has good chokes, right? He has good striking, but this guy just fights like he's a complete retard. I don't know what other way to put it. Kevin Holland in his fights is just a straight dumbass. Like, he doesn't pull the trigger when he needs to pull the trigger. He makes dumb mistakes in the grappling, and yeah, man, Kevin Holland, just one of the most frustrating fighters to watch. And honestly, if you put this guy in your parlay going forward in general, if you're a betting man, then I can't help but not feel bad for you if he cooks it, because never bet on Kevin Holland again. That's the story here. Marvin Vettori. Now, although I do kind of feel bad for Marvin Vettori, this guy's been through a hell of a lot recently with his brother passing away in a house fire. Rest in peace to Marvin Vettori's brother. This guy has just not leveled up in the last 8 years, man. What has Marvin Vettori been doing in the training room in the last 8 years or so? If you've seen one Marvin Vettori fight, you've seen them all. He plods forward, slow man Marvin Vettori, slowly making his way forward, throw some little pitter-pat shots with no power in them, has lackluster striking, lackluster grappling, lackluster everything, really. Marvin Vettori is the most mid fighter I've ever seen, and this guy does not adjust in fights whatsoever. If Marvin Vettori, kind of like Sean Strickland, if he's getting his ass beat in round one, guess what he's going to change? Absolutely nothing. He's going to get his ass beat through the end of the fight. He just doesn't do anything different. Like, bro, having a good chin isn't going to carry you to a championship, Marvin Vettori. You have to put some risk, right? This guy has one of the greatest chins we've ever seen in the UFC, and he still seems to minimize risk. You don't see Marvin Vettori trying to make big haymakers to get his opponents out there and charging forward. That's what he should do, but he doesn't do that. For whatever reason, this guy is okay with losing decision after decision. In fact, this guy's never been finished. That's how good his chin is. He just loses decisions constantly, and you never really see Marvin Vettori take any risk. And like I said, you've seen one Marvin Vettori fight. You've seen them all. This guy loses the same exact way. He fights very lacklusterly. That's not even a word, but he fights at a very lackluster pace, and typically his opponent's better than him because they put on a better pace and they just are more active than Marvin Vettori, and yeah, he just gets his ass beat. And it's unfortunate because Marvin Vettori is a funny guy, but man, it might be time for him to retire. He's just, we're in 2025 and Marvin Vettori is making Roman Dolidze look like Prime Wonder Boy. I don't know what other way to put it. This guy is extremely frustrating to watch because, like I said, like Sean Strickland, he doesn't change anything. He does the same thing in round one as he does in round three. Like, bro, try something different. Shoot a takedown, for crying out loud. Let's get on to Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards might be the most unmotivated fighter I've ever seen. This guy seems like he has like a rich guy, like, I'm too cool for UFC, I've already won the belt vibes. I don't know, man. Leon Edwards is he just doesn't seem like he has it anymore. I'm not even sure why this guy's still fighting at 34 years old. He's won the belt. He's had his round 5 head kick KO moment over Kamaru Usman. And dude, this guy made us go through a Belal Muhammad championship. I will never forgive Leon Edwards. This guy's the reason that I had to sit through 11 months of Belal Muhammad yapping on Twitter about how he would destroy everybody at middleweight and welterweight and not fight and just hold the belt hostage for almost an entire year just to get his ass beat by Jack Della Maddalena. More on that later, but yeah, I cannot stand Leon Edwards, and he frustrates me because this guy's the reason I had to go through a damn Belal Muhammad championship. The last fighter I ever wanted to see touch the belt. Leon Edwards is the reason he touched the belt. And another thing is Leon Edwards fights to the level of his opponent, right? If Leon Edwards' opponent is the level of CM Punk, Leon Edwards will make it real razor close and he'll narrowly beat him. If Leon Edwards' opponent is GSP, he'll damn near win and barely lose. Now, obviously I'm exaggerating a bit, but the reason I call this guy unmotivated is because look at his last fight against Sean Brady, bro. He tapped out embarrassingly in front of his home crowd and got his ass beat pillar to post, and then came out after the fight and posted on Instagram, still the man. No, bro, you're not still the man. You're still the can. Like, bro, you ain't him anymore, bro. You're a little headshot dead. Bro, you got submitted and broke a record on you for the most controlled time in a round. Leon Edwards is going to get slept by Carlos Prates, and his career is nearly over. And this guy's also one of the most inactive fighters in the UFC. Thank goodness him or Belal Muhammad isn't champion anymore. I'm glad we moved on. But nonetheless, when I watch a Leon Edwards fight, I cannot help but be frustrated. Aljamain Sterling. I know I'm not the only one that watched that 5-round snoozer against Brian Ortega and was frustrated. Why can't Aljamain Sterling put together a finish? This guy hasn't had a finish in half a decade. The last time this guy had a finish, I didn't even know my wife, and now I've been married for 3 years. That's how long it's been since Aljamain Sterling had a finish. Anyways, lack of finishing ability leads to boring fights. Not only does he have a lack of finishing ability on the feet, with no power in his hands, he has a lack of finishing ability on the ground. There is this false narrative around Aljamain Sterling that he's a good submission artist. No, he's not. He's not a good submission artist. This guy hasn't had a submission since 2020. And this guy seems to get the body triangle a ton since that fight against Corey Sandhagen, which was his last submission, and he can never finish a choke. He cannot finish a choke to save his life, despite being one of the best back takers. It's so incredibly frustrating to watch. Sure, seeing high-level grappling between him and Mavzar and seeing him ragdoll Cater was cool, but bro, can we get a finish? Like, I can't help but just know that if you're watching Aljamain Sterling fight, it's going to be a decision, one way or the other. Sure, he got finished by Sean O'Malley, but typically, this guy is going to decision. Or he's having an Oscar-winning performance against Piotr Yan and winning the belt via DQ. And he's kind of a crybaby. Aljamain Sterling, he's always yapping about the O'Malley fight, talking about, man, they made me take the fight on short notice. First of all, buddy, you're a grown man. You really think the UFC was going to strip Aljamain Sterling if he said, I'm not doing a turnaround, I need at least 3 months to recover, we can book the fight later in the year? Surely Dana White would have been a little bit annoyed. Hunter Campbell probably wouldn't have been thrilled, but bro, at the end of the day, if you were injured and you didn't want to take the O'Malley fight, don't take the O'Malley fight. You're not going to get stripped for denying a fight when you just defended your title 3 months before the fight happened. Either way, Aljamain Sterling's lack of finishing ability, causing him to have boring fights, is what frustrates me. Definitely one of the most frustrating fighters to watch at the moment, in my opinion. Brian Ortega, the guy he just fought. Wow, back-to-back, 2 guys that fought each other in this video. Brian Ortega, let's be real. I made a facts video recently on this guy saying how Brian Ortega went on a run where he had 4 third-round finishes in a row. Now, that seems cool and all, right? But this guy just never pulls the trigger until the final round in his fights. Even against Aljamain Sterling, against Volkanovski, in all of his fights, Brian Ortega, it's almost like he chooses to get his ass beat, right? This guy will get his ass beat, pillar to post, get the brakes beaten off of him, and he tries to latch up a quick submission in the 5th round. Like, bro, keep that same energy in the 1st round. Be dangerous the whole fight. If you have the capability, when you're somewhat gassed out in the 5th round, to be dangerous and have a moment, where was that moment the entire fight? I don't understand the mentality of Brian Ortega not being able to pull the trigger. What is this guy doing in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round? Nothing. And then the 5th round comes and he's like, oh shit, Brian Ortega looking for a finish. Or the 3rd round comes and it's like, dude, fight to finish the fight the whole time, not just with 2 minutes left in the fight. And another reason I don't like watching Brian Ortega fight, it's just because in the back of my mind, I know this guy, if he wins a fight, he's going to go up in the rankings, and this guy's going to rank squad for an entire year, holding on to his little precious number 5 spot in the rankings, and he's not going to fight for a year. And it's just taking up a spot of the top 5 that it doesn't need to be taken up. So yes, watching Brian Ortega fight is extremely frustrating because this guy never pulls the trigger, right? And he seems to just not care until the last round of the fight. I don't know. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Magomed Ankalaev. I've been waiting to get to this one. Oh my goodness. Magomed Ankalaev. This guy is one of the most lackluster champions in the UFC. And let me explain. People are going to say, dude, you're just hating because he's so skilled nobody could beat him, right? Obviously, that's true. He's very good. But what were people saying in the lead up to the Alex Pereira fight with Magomed Ankalaev, right? They were saying Alex Pereira is either going to finish him or Magomed Ankalaev is going to win a decision. That was typically what it said. It just goes to show you that this guy is a decision fighter. He's had 2 finishes in the last half decade. And guess who they were against? Johnny Walker, who gets chinned by everybody, and Anthony Smith. That's his only 2 finishes. And all of his other fights, against Rakic, against Pereira, even the first Johnny Walker fight when it should have been a disqualification because he landed a legal knee, just lackluster, man. He never seems to dominate his opponent. Magomed Ankalaev never dominates his opponent unless it's Anthony Smith. He just seems to barely coast to a win. He does just enough for people to say, yeah, dude, Ankalaev's so good, so hard to beat, so defensively sound, underrated boxing. But why, if this guy's so good and so dominant, why can't he blow his opponent out of the water? Why can't he knock him out in the 1st round? Why can't he submit them, right? Jan Blachowicz fights to a draw, right? And it just, I don't know, man. Something about a Magomed Ankalaev fight frustrates me because you know he's going to make it close. You know he's going to make it lackluster. It's going to be boring, right? Only Magomed Ankalaev can fight Alex Pereira and make it a boring fight. Now, I get it. Alex Pereira should take some of the blame for that, but we cannot continue to bail this guy out. He has boring performances. He's a lackluster champion, and I wouldn't be surprised if he smudges Alex Pereira to another decision. I'm not going to pretend like I like watching Magomed Ankalaev fights. I don't. Is he good? Is he the best light heavyweight right now? Absolutely. Great boxing, good, decent grappling for light heavyweight, good fundamentals, but man, push for a finish once in a blue moon. He just doesn't do that anymore. Ever since Johnny Walker took his soul 7 years ago, this guy just seems to be a little bit more cautious. He's just so worried about that win, man. Got to protect that Russian undefeated record, even though he has one loss. But you get what I'm saying. Lackluster performances, never seems to dominate, but always seems to coast to a win. That's why I find Magomed Ankalaev extremely frustrating to watch, because you almost know what's going to happen. He's going to win a 48-47 or even a 49-46 where he barely edges out the rounds. Let's get on to Belal Muhammad. Oh my goodness, Belal Muhammad. TJ Khaled from Temu. It's time to talk about this guy. Another guy that fights to win, not to finish. That is 100% Belal Muhammad. And what pisses me off about Belal Muhammad is before the fight, he'll talk about, yeah, I'm looking to finish these guys. I'm looking to get in there and finish these guys every time. No, you're not, Belal Muhammad. You have zero intention. I'm pretty sure Belal Muhammad finished Sean Brady by accident. Anybody else? Like, he literally accidentally finished Sean Brady. I'm surprised he didn't shoot for a takedown when Sean Brady was out on his feet. But another thing that frustrates me, and this has nothing to do with his fighting, but this guy gets way too much credit for the JDM fight being entertaining. Dude, give credit to Belal. People call him boring. Look at the JDM fight. No, fuck that. That fight was only entertaining because JDM made it entertaining. Guess what? If Belal Muhammad could take down JDM, guess what we would have saw? Another lackluster Belal Muhammad snooze fest where he grabs the hips of JDM, hugs him, and tries to push him up against the cage. Doesn't go for a submission, doesn't go for ground and pound, just holds position and lends little pitter-pat elbows to the body. It's boring. And I'm not going to pretend like it's not. This guy's had one finish in the last 9 years. Against Sean Brady, fair enough, good finish. But man, I just can't get behind a guy who fights to win and not to finish. Ilya Topuria said he fights to dominate. He's not fighting to win on points. He fights to dominate, and that's the kind of fighter I respect. Does that make me a casual? That's up for your discretion, but I'm sorry, man. I cannot get behind a guy who, in my opinion, literally fights to a decision on purpose. Like, I am 100% convinced Belal Muhammad goes into fights saying, I need to beat this guy by points. I'm not going to finish him. Call it what you will. It's frustrating to watch because you end up taking a nap while he's fighting, or you wake up, you fall asleep in round 1 and you wake up in round 4 and it looks like nothing's changed. So yeah, Belal Muhammad, definitely one of the most frustrating fighters to watch. And last but not least, Cody No Love Garbrandt. And ever since this guy won the belt, let's just call it what it is, man. This guy threw technique right out the window after winning the belt. This guy was one of the best strikers we've ever seen against Dominic Cruz way back in 2016. People were like, man, Cody Garbrandt, who's going to beat this guy? This guy's dancing again in the octagon against Dominic Cruz. He's dropping him. He's doing the Irish jig, the shuffle. This guy's dancing around like he's on the freaking dance floor. And what do you know? It was all for show, because ever since winning the title against Dominic Cruz, this guy seemed to forget what technique is. He strikes like an absolute moron, chooses to stand and bang despite having a glass chin and having some of the worst defense. And this guy's had the speed advantage in every single fight in his entire UFC career. Cody Garbrandt might be the fastest fighter we've ever seen in the UFC. This guy's lightning fast hands, man. So fast that you miss his punches if you blink. But yet, this guy just failed to realize what the word technique means. Because after this guy's been in the UFC for 11, 12 years, and it's just like, man, it's crazy to think this guy won the belt at 25 and he's 34 now and he's 3-7 since winning the belt. And it's just so frustrating to watch because you see the potential in Cody Garbrandt. You see the lightning fast speed. You see the power, even the wrestling earlier in his career. And it's like, what went wrong? Was it the sword tattoo? Was it the neck tattoo? Like, was it Dominic Cruz cooking him in the trash talk so bad that it hindered his entire career? I don't know. TJ Dillashaw taking his soul? I don't know. But every time I watch a Cody Garbrandt fight, I can't help but be pissed off, especially the Hounding Barcelos fight, where I just felt like Cody Garbrandt, if he just took his time and picked his shots and stuck behind his speed and just was more technical, he could have easily beat old man Hounding Barcelos. But no, Cody Garbrandt can't help but be a hard-head marauder that just throws his chin on a silver platter and loses every fight. And yeah, these are the most frustrating UFC fighters for me to watch currently in 2025. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you guys think are the most frustrating fighters to watch? That's it. Deuces.